Recently, strange things have been happening on our farm. Sheep have disappeared without a trace, and the vegetable fields have been destroyed overnight. I'm certain the culprits are the wild boars, the persistent destroyers we've tried to drive away multiple times. But this time, they have become bolder than ever. They are no longer afraid, they're faster and more reckless. Everything is starting to spiral out of control. We can't wait any longer. So today, we set out again, continuing the hunt to reclaim our land. On the ATV with large tires, we glide through the damp swamp carefully but alert. Our eyes stay glued to the binoculars, tracking the slightest movement in the brush, where the wild boars might be hiding. The bait traps had been set the night before, and just as predicted, a few familiar shadows start to appear within sight. The silent battle has begun. This time, Henry didn't hesitate. He calmly and carefully aimed at the target and squeezed the trigger confidently. The sound of the gunshot split the air, and the wild boar instantly fell with a fatal shot. Not willing to take any risks, he quickly fired another shot to make sure the target was completely down. Roaming the swamp area, we didn't take long to spot a new target. Dark figures appeared beside the water, perhaps searching for a mud bath and food. I crept closer, each step calculated to avoid making any noise. Once within shooting range, I pulled the trigger hard. The gunshot rang out, and the wild boar collapsed instantly. After moving a bit further, I saw another wild boar quickly running up the shore. But I was faster, firing from a distance. The wild boar rolled down the slope, unable to react. As the afternoon wore on, we discovered giant wild boars running rampant in the swamp. The whole team approached each one, ensuring no boar could escape. Everything happened quickly, from reloading, aiming, to firing the shot, all within a matter of minutes. We had a clear objective: to act swiftly, precisely, and leave no room for mistakes. After a night of rest and recovery, we resumed the wild boar chase the next morning. The team immediately closed in and surrounded it. As always, Robert was on top of his game. With just a few shots, the wild boars fell one by one, instantly, with no time to react. We continued to set our sights on new, more challenging territories. As soon as the wild boar herd charged toward us, I quickly adjusted my aim. Perfect. A precise shot, and the wild boar fell instantly.
There you go, son. That's what that thing.
I decided to get out of the vehicle to continue the search. It didn't take long before another wild boar appeared in sight. I raised my rifle, aimed, and pulled the trigger. But it was still a step faster, managing to escape. We moved ahead to set up an ambush. This time, I didn't hesitate, chambered a round and fired. The wild boar dropped, lying motionless on the ground. Elsewhere, a wild boar was desperately trying to escape the relentless pursuit of us.
Yes, sir! Yes, yes, sir! Yes!
With a well-laid trap network established by our hunters, there was no escape for the wild boar herd. One by one, they were taken down, unable to react. The atmosphere grew more intense and thrilling than ever.
That may be the funnest thing I've ever. First time on an airboat? Not the first time killing pigs, but I guess for a rookie that ain't too bad.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we seen him from a long ways out, like we said, and Randy didn't spare no expense.
The engine roared as gunshots rang out in rapid succession, creating an atmosphere full of tension and excitement. Our mission was clear: ambush and fire as soon as a wild boar appeared. Thanks to seamless coordination and decisive speed, any target that appeared was swiftly taken down, without hesitation. We continued circling the swamp once more, daring to venture deeper into our familiar hunting grounds on the roaring ATV. Thanks to the keen instincts of our hunting dogs, a wild boar was quickly spotted ahead. I fired. The wild boar dropped instantly, lying motionless in place. That's it for this video. Did today's hunt get your heart racing and leave you surprised? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe to ensure you won't miss any more thrilling and dramatic hunts in the future. Goodbye and see you in the next exciting adventures with us. Wild boars are a nightmare for farmers. They dig up the ground in search of food, destroy pastures, and ruin crops. Alarmingly, this invasive species reproduces at an extremely fast rate. Each female can give birth to up to 12 piglets per litter and can reproduce twice a year. Local authorities have tried everything to control them, from setting traps and building fences to using chemicals, yet the wild boar population continues to grow. That is why our team decided to head out today, not just because of our passion for hunting, but also to protect the farmlands that are being devastated every day by these feral pigs. This morning, the sun shone gently as we began our hunt in a small forest behind a neighbor's house. As soon as we arrived, the team quickly set up their rifles, got into position, and waited for a signal from the hunting dogs. After a short wait, barking echoed through the air. A wild boar, chased by the dogs, suddenly burst out of the woods and ran straight across the road. Seeing the opportunity, I immediately moved my rifle to follow the target's motion and pulled the trigger. Thanks to that, we secured our first trophy of the day. From the roadside, just a few dozen meters into the forest, a second wild boar appeared in my teammates' sights. He fired several rounds in quick succession, but the boar managed to escape. Without hesitation, he jumped in the vehicle to track the fleeing target. Luckily, it hadn't gone far. His next shot hit the mark, taking the wild boar down completely. After carefully scouting the terrain for a while, we realized this forest was relatively small and showed few signs of wild boar activity, so the group decided to move to another area. The dogs were still full of energy, eagerly charging ahead in search of prey. Thanks to them, we soon encountered another wild boar struggling to find a way out beneath a small stream. Across the stream was a gentle hillside, covered in dense bushes as tall as a person, a perfect hiding spot for wild boars. However, with a clear vantage point and eyes trained to spot even the slightest movement among the leaves, I quickly noticed an unfamiliar rustle as soon as something stirred. Sure enough, moments later, a dark silhouette slithered quietly through the brush. Gunshots rang out one after another. It panicked and tried to flee a few more meters before collapsing. After spending over an hour there, we decided to move to another forest where wild boars were known to gather in large numbers. As soon as we arrived, we spotted a herd of wild boars moving across a wide clearing in the distance. I tightened my grip on the trigger and fired a few shots to scatter them. The whole herd panicked and fled, their growls echoing throughout the forest. Shortly after, I noticed a wild boar hiding among the treetops. Not missing the opportunity, I quickly lowered my rifle and fired. The whole team ventured deeper into the forest in search of more game. Less than half an hour later, a large wild boar came into view. At that moment, we were already lying in ambush along the hillside, waiting for the right moment. As soon as it began to approach, we opened fire. The hunt continued into late afternoon, and we managed to take down several more wild boars. Later, the entire team stopped along a narrow trail leading out of the forest. Waiting for one last chance before wrapping up the day. Just seconds later, another boar emerged and became the next target. Another clean shot brought it down swiftly. The sun slowly set behind the hill, casting a warm golden-orange glow across the entire forest landscape. We made our way back, following our own tracks along the trail, ending the hunt with a string of unforgettable victories. If you think this hunt was worth experiencing through the screen, don't forget to hit like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the next wild adventure. Thank you for joining us. See you again on the next rugged mountain trail. As a modern-day farmer and hunter, I always try to find the most effective ways to protect my fields. Instead of sitting around and complaining about the wild boars constantly destroying my corn crops, I chose to take action through hunting, a practical and effective method to control their population. I believe that if I don't act, no one else can protect this land better than I can. Join us as we begin this journey and discover what's waiting ahead. After a few minutes of quietly surveying the terrain, our scope finally caught sight of a wild boar. It was casually strolling through the woods, completely unaware it was in our sights. Although the distance wasn't ideal, I decided to take a long-range shot. The rifle was ready, waiting only for the right moment. Boom! The gunshot echoed across the mountain. The bullet hit its target, causing the boar to stumble and roll down the slope. Not long after, the excited growls of the hunting dogs echoed throughout the forest, signaling that something was happening nearby. A flurry of noise erupted from a dense bush just ahead. We immediately approached with caution, raising our rifles. A single precise and decisive shot brought down the wild boar. The chase grew more intense by the minute. As we crossed another mountain ridge, we encountered a massive herd of wild boars. Their sheer size alone would excite any hunter. We couldn't miss the opportunity and quickly opened fire together. However, the boars reacted swiftly, scattering into the thick underbrush. Only a few unlucky ones were taken down, lying motionless on the cold forest floor. We weren't about to give up so easily. Determined to pursue the fleeing herd, we immediately signaled our teammates to block off their escape route. It was a smart tactic, one we'd used before with great success. As soon as the herd appeared, my friend fired first, aiming straight at the lead boar. The entire herd went into a frenzy. But no matter how fast they ran, one couldn't escape its fate. We were still in luck when another group of wild boars suddenly appeared. Without hesitation, we reloaded and pulled the trigger. But these boars were exceptionally cunning and swift. They skillfully weaved through the thick bushes, and before long, had completely vanished, leaving behind only the echo of gunfire and a faint scent lingering in the wind. The number of wild boars here was nearly uncountable. They moved in large herds with astonishing speed. Despite our best efforts and continuous gunfire, the few we managed to bring down were nothing compared to a population that was only growing more aggressive and out of control. As we made our way down a narrow path toward the foot of the mountain, strange rustling noises suddenly came from the bushes. Without a moment's hesitation, I fired, my heart pounding as I faced the wild boars in that breathless moment. My teammates continued chasing down boars hiding on the hillside. Gunshots rang out again and again. One boar let out a scream and rolled down the slope. Following the trail of the others, we spotted one hiding under a tree. Startled by our presence, it tried to flee. But we quickly gave chase and brought it down. After hours of relentless pursuit across challenging terrain, we had faced wild boars head-on in a series of intense encounters. It was a truly dramatic and grueling journey. This video ends here. Did today's hunt make your heart race and get your adrenaline pumping? Don't hesitate to share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe so you won't miss the next pulse-pounding, action-packed hunt. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again on the next wild adventure. Do you think wild boar hunting is just a dangerous thrill deep in the woods? Think again. In Spain, it's actually a professional livelihood. The price for each kilogram of fresh wild boar meat can range from 12 to 20 euros, depending on quality and season. So for hunters like us, it's not just a passion or a way to protect crops, it's a serious job that feeds entire families. Today's destination is a licensed hunting ground in Candela, a small town in the province of Avallon. To our surprise, we had our first encounter right on the way there. A large wild boar suddenly charged straight toward our vehicle. Sensing the imminent threat, he immediately pulled the trigger. With a single precise shot, the boar dropped on the spot. After reaching the mountainside, we released the hunting dogs. They quickly scattered throughout the forest. Then it appeared a massive boar, crashing through the underbrush in panic. Unfortunately for it, every step was already within our sights. In the end, 2 clean shots finished the chase. At the same time, Sergio, one of our seasoned hunters, spotted another boar. Without hesitation, he raised his rifle and fired. The bullet struck true, and the animal collapsed beside a pile of dry leaves. While some team members stayed lower down the slope, my partner and I climbed higher to assist Mateo with the ambush. Fortunately, the group had succeeded in herding the wild boars into one spot. All that remained was to carefully aim and pull the trigger. From the final position, I pushed on for another few hundred meters. Alone in the remote terrain, I stayed alert, especially as the dog's barking grew louder. My heart pounded as I gripped my rifle and opened fire. In less than 10 seconds, I took down several boars in quick succession. Everything happened so fast. I immediately radioed the team with the good news. Tension was running high at Tomas's location. He waited patiently for the boar to emerge under the relentless pursuit of a hunting dog. A heart-pounding moment. Thankfully, Tomas managed to bring it down just in time. If you lack experience or don't have a team with you, never hunt alone. Out here, even 1 second of hesitation can put you in serious danger. Following the trail and climbing several hundred more steps, the dogs began barking fiercely again. It could only be one thing: wild boars, the only animals still roaming this dense forest. I raised my rifle carefully, ears alert, eyes scanning the rustling brush. A boar burst out, and I fired several shots. The air filled with gun smoke, but most importantly, the boar was down. This might just be the luckiest hunt I've ever had. The call to regroup had already gone out, but I couldn't leave just yet. It seemed the dogs had sniffed out even more giant boars in the area. In the end, all I had to do was raise the rifle, aim, and pull the trigger. Bang! The boar dropped. Although hunting is our livelihood, we strictly adhere to wildlife protection laws and environmental regulations. We only hunt legal species, in the right season and at the right time. We make sure not to harm the surrounding ecosystem and always leave the environment clean after each trip. All hunting activities are recorded, reported transparently, and monitored by local authorities. That's the end of today's video. Did this hunt get your heart racing and keep you on edge? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next intense and breathtaking hunt. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on our next wild journey. It was barely dawn when we set out for the licensed hunting grounds in the Candela Mountains. This wasn't a joyride. For us, wild boar hunting is a livelihood, a job that demands grit and perseverance. We were still on our way to the forest when trouble struck. Around a quiet bend, a wild boar suddenly burst out from the roadside brush, its tusks sharp like carving knives. It didn't flinch or hesitate, just charged straight at our vehicle like a beast in a rage. In a split second, I raised my gun, took aim, and pulled the trigger. The shot rang out, and the creature dropped, lifeless in the middle of the road. We had just reached the first rocky slope when we let the hunting dogs loose to lead the way. Within minutes, a sharp howl echoed from the ravine. That sound usually means the target is close. I rushed toward the noise, gripping my gun tight. Then, a sudden flash of movement in the brush, a massive wild boar. I steadied my stance, held my breath, and squeezed the trigger. One clean shot. The boar dropped instantly, not even a sound came out. If it weren't for our skilled hunting dogs, we'd probably have spent the whole day stumbling through the woods. But just as we caught our breath, a few more boars suddenly burst out from the brush across the clearing. It all happened in a flash. I didn't think, just reacted. 2 quick shots. Dust flew everywhere, and 2 boars hit the ground. Had I hesitated for even a second, I might have been slammed by their sheer force and aggression. It was a heart-pounding moment, but deeply satisfying. There's nothing quite like the rush of coming out on top in a split-second fight for survival. Still, a few managed to break away in another direction. Once again, we had to rely on the dogs. We tracked one boar that was trying to escape. It wasn't just strong, it was clever too, weaving through rocks and thick underbrush. With all the obstacles blocking our line of fire, we lost sight of it by just a hair. Less than 10 minutes later, one of the team radioed in a boar had been spotted on a narrow trail up ahead. Without hesitation, we rushed in. The moment it poked its head out, we all opened fire. Another thrilling win to add to the day. From a high rocky ledge, we spotted a whole herd of boars moving below the hill. I aimed at the one trailing in the back and pulled the trigger, missed. But I didn't give up. I shifted position, adjusted my stance, and took a second shot. This time it hit. The boar dropped and rolled down the slope. Our hunt ended with plenty of game and a deep sense of satisfaction. The tension, the adrenaline, those are feelings you never forget when hunting wild boar. But this isn't just a thrill-seeking adventure. It's a mission, protecting crops, restoring ecological balance, and cutting down the damage caused by these destructive animals. I couldn't sit still any longer watching my fields ravaged by wild boars. Every time they came through, my entire harvest was wiped out. Months of hard work and care all reduced to bare stalks and clawed up soil. And this wasn't just my problem. The whole village, even across the Georgia region, was suffering from the same growing threat. The wild boars were multiplying, becoming more aggressive by the day. So when I heard that a local hunting trip was being organized, I knew I had to join. Not just for my own crops, but to help contain this invasive menace. We arrived at the forest edge early in the morning. Before us stretched an open field, blanketed in fresh grass, scattered with a few low bushes. The air was cool and crisp, laced with a fine mist. Everyone was eager, hoping for a successful hunt. After about 30 minutes lying in wait under a large tree, the first targets of the day appeared and quickly fell into my sights. I gripped my rifle tightly, waited for the moment it slowed. Then pulled the trigger. The shot rang out clean. A direct hit, the boar dropped instantly. A strong, encouraging start. Elsewhere, my friend Carter and his team had spotted a smaller boar. It seemed to sense danger and quickly bolted. Carter reacted swiftly, but unfortunately, his bullet missed by inches. The boar escaped by the skin of its teeth. Undeterred, the team pressed deeper into the forest, where the dense underbrush choked every path. Now it was time to release the dogs. The scent of boar still hung in the wind. These four-legged companions had never failed me. Soon enough, one boar was flushed from the brush by the hounds. Seizing the opportunity, I raised my rifle, aimed, and fired. The shot landed. The boar stumbled and fell just in front of the thicket. Another clean hit. By noon, the action hadn't slowed. Suddenly, a series of frantic barks echoed through the forest. I tensed, listening. Between the barking, I could hear the dry leaves rustling. Something was coming. Wild boars were approaching. I gripped my rifle tighter, ready. And then, from the thick brush, one burst through. Without hesitation, I fired again and again. Gunfire echoed through the trees. Among the tangled bushes, a few scattered boars tried to flee. But none escaped my sights. After a short lunch break, we resumed the hunt. This time, I chose a high vantage point on a gentle hill behind the forest. My eyes stayed fixed on the open area ahead. Time seemed to crawl. Then, a dark figure appeared in the bushes. I didn't wait. I pulled the trigger. Later, I moved to a barren stretch of land. There, as sunlight slanted through dense trees, another boar emerged at a considerable distance. I knew it was a risky shot, but I went for it. Through the scope, I held my breath and gently squeezed the trigger. The bullet flew true. The boar collapsed. My heart pounded in my chest from the rush. Close call victories always bring that perfect mix of tension and satisfaction. Then, just as I had a hunch, another black boar showed up digging at the ground, unaware it was surrounded by dogs. Carefully, I raised my rifle, adjusted the scope, and took aim at the buck. The boar fell among the hounds. That marked the end of today's hunt. Though there were a few missed shots that left some regret. The heart-pounding moments, the decisive squeezes of the trigger, and the thrill of tracking game, these will remain unforgettable memories. Leave your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss our next hunting adventure. Beneath the endless fields of Georgia where corn and wheat stretch clear to the horizon, a silent threat spreads a little further every day. It isn't a storm or a drought, but the wild hogs, growing bolder and more destructive. In just 1 year, hundreds of acres have been torn up, crops snapped and ruined. To make matters worse, milder winters and the vanishing predators along the river woods have given wild hogs free rein to multiply beyond control. That's why hunting groups including ours have stepped up, hoping to put a stop to this destruction. We didn't hesitate, we set out at first light. As dawn broke, we crept along the tree line by the cornfields. Deep, fresh tracks pressed into the muddy edge told us the wild hogs had passed through during the night. No one said a word. Each of us found a spot to hide, listening to our own breath, waiting. Not even 10 minutes passed before a strange noise broke the silence at the forest's edge. Suddenly, a huge wild hog burst through the field. I tightened my grip on the rifle, took careful aim, and dropped it with a single shot. Just as we were catching our breath, the ground suddenly seemed to tremble with strange sounds from the edge of the woods. A massive herd of wild hogs bigger than anything we'd ever seen came crashing out of the brush, gray bodies streaking by, shrieking and wild. The air filled with the scent of earth, the musk of wild fur, and the non-stop barking of hunting dogs. Every eye widened as we spotted a giant boar leading the charge, barreling straight for the green rice fields. We had to switch tactics on the spot. Instead of charging in, we tried to keep the herd from flooding into the crops. The wild hogs went berserk, trampling a patch of young corn flat. In that instant, with gunshots cracking and shouts all around, I leveled my sights at the lead group. I waited for the right moment, then squeezed the trigger. That clean shot dropped it, and the whole herd scattered in chaos. Once things settled down, we kept searching along the tree line. Beneath the thick canopy, I waited in a low spot, watching every little movement. A grown boar broke away from the herd and wandered into the open. I didn't hesitate, lined up my shot and pulled the trigger, scoring another win for the farmers. By midday, the gunfire had faded. Fresh hog tracks still pressed deep into the earth, a clear sign this battle was far from over. But after a hard day's fight, we knew that as long as we stood together, nothing was truly out of reach. In life, no matter how tough things get, hope always finds a way to rise again, right here on the fields where sweat and struggle have never gone to waste. Snow had fallen thick through the night, blanketing the hills and lonely valleys in a sea of white. At daybreak, the locals brought grim news: a new wave of wild hogs was moving in, larger in number and meaner than before. Just the way of life. Cornfields were torn to shreds, livestock pens smashed open in the dead of night. There was no time to waste. The hunting party geared up without hesitation, setting out on an urgent sweep to protect the community. We set out at first light, the sky still draped in a pale gray mist. Each of us carried a lightweight carbine, and our pack of hunting dogs trained all summer for this moved with purpose. The scent of wild hogs lingered fresh in the cold air, their tracks scattered like scars across the snow. It didn't take long. Suddenly, every dog let out a deep, urgent howl. Prey was close. A single gunshot shattered the silence. One of the biggest hogs dropped hard, no more than 20 paces away. The rest scattered fast, bolting toward a steep, rocky slope. We split into two flanks, trailing them step by step. Snow up to our ankles made every move a battle. Too far to close in, we opened fire from nearly 300 meters out. Two more went down in the haze of gun smoke. A few wounded ones managed to limp off, disappearing behind the trees. We followed the smeared trails of blood across the snow, leading us to a shadowy hillside where the woods grew thicker than usual. The tangled mess of hoofprints, the dark stains, and that unmistakable stench told us everything we needed to know. There was a big herd up ahead. No one said a word. We spread out in silence, each man taking cover behind a tree, breath held tight. The moment the first hog stepped out of the brush, a shot rang out, followed by three more in quick succession, each one landing clean. The herd exploded in chaos, scattering in every direction, pure panic driving them through the undergrowth like a busted dam. Before we could even catch our breath, another herd came charging in from the edge of the woods. There was no time to talk. Everyone opened fire instinctively. The bullets poured down like a storm of steel, sharp, relentless, and deadly precise. After 10 breathless minutes of chaos, we tightened the noose and brought the hunt to a close, an ending none of us had seen coming. A few managed to slip away into the deep woods, but by the time dusk began to settle over the hills, Our truck was loaded with the hard-earned spoils of a long day's chase. Back in the village, you could feel the relief in the air. At least for now, the threat of this season had been pushed back. After every hunt, we realize that when danger draws near, it's not just skill or strength that gets us through, but unity, resilience, and a shared sense of responsibility. To protect a peaceful way of life, sometimes it takes an entire group to rise together, even when the challenge feels impossible. If this journey made your heart beat a little faster, don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss the next adventure. Thanks for sticking with us every step of the way. We'll see you on the next hunt where limits are tested, and nothing is guaranteed.
Everything is spiraling out of control. Wild boars are no longer just elusive creatures of the forest, they've become a serious threat. With explosive reproduction rates and destruction twice as intense as before, they're creeping closer to human life, forcing us to fight back. Today, we take you straight into the heart of the action, where every shot is a calculated move, and every step is timed with precision. Deep within the dense woods of Sam Houston, where thick vegetation conceals winding trails, veteran hunter Jarek spent the entire day scouting. He carefully studied the tracks and movement patterns of the wild boars before making his move. A faint rustle from a nearby bush instantly put him on high alert. After more than an hour of patient waiting, the target finally appeared, a massive, heavy-set wild boar, cautious and alert. Jarek held his breath, adjusted his scope, and with a single, well-placed shot, the target was down. But Jarek knew well wild boars rarely travel alone. He silently moved through the area, sensing that more were nearby. Just as expected, the rest of the herd had been lurking close. The battle erupted once again, this time more intense. By the end of the day, Jarek returned with several prized trophies, rewards for his patience and seasoned skill. Not far from there, a young hunter named Leo had an unforgettable experience. While observing a low ridge, he spotted a large herd moving beneath the canopy. It was an opportunity too good to miss. Leo quickly secured his position, aimed, and began dropping targets one by one. A display of skill that left even the most experienced hunters in awe. Nearby, another team led by Taras had been quietly lying in wait. They split up and took positions along a narrow game trail, known to be frequented by wild boars. A small observation post was set up, wind direction checked, and silence embraced. As the herd approached, drawn by the scent of food, Taras's team launched a surprise attack. Fast, clean, and precise shots gave them full control of the situation. One last boar tried to escape, but only made it a few steps before being taken down a flawless finishing shot. Elsewhere, in the sun-scorched grasslands, seasoned hunter Elias had set up a post near one of the frequently targeted areas. Within minutes, a mature boar emerged, quietly sneaking through the brush. Elias calmly raised his rifle, and with one decisive shot, dropped it on the spot, a performance that left everyone breathless. Farther north, in the snow-covered mountains of Tajikistan, experienced hunter Merrick faced one of the toughest terrains: biting winds, harsh terrain, and temperatures as low as 16 degrees Celsius. But with a sharp eye, he spotted signs of boars hiding behind dry bushes. When the moment came, he didn't hesitate. A single critical shot brought down the alpha boar. The rest of the herd scattered in panic, but Merritt was ready. He anticipated the chaos and continued adding to his tally. Today's hunts weren't just a chase between man and beast. They were a blend of strategy, patience, and exceptional situational awareness. Each shot wasn't just a pull of the trigger. It was the result of thorough planning, sharp observation, and waiting for the perfect moment. Just 1 second, but it carried the weight of an entire journey. Since the very first videos of our wild boar hunting journeys were shared, we've received overwhelming support and interest from you all. From remote mountain ranges to dense forests, hunters from all over have sent us breathtaking footage each moment, reflecting courage, patience, and remarkable skill. Daring ambushes, heart-pounding chases, and unpredictable encounters have left lasting impressions. Today, let's look back at some of the most memorable expeditions where every wild boar encounter is a thrilling story in itself. Right from the opening seconds, we witness a perfectly executed takedown. This was the hunt of Hunter Davis in the rugged hills of Texas, where he had to step in after spotting a group of wild boars inching dangerously close to his farm. After 30 minutes of patient tracking, a lone boar strayed into his line of sight. Without hesitation, Davis pulled the trigger. That precise shot instantly stopped the target in its tracks. And not long after, more targets appeared. The gunfire echoed repeatedly as Davis continued to carry out the mission, one by one. What impressed us most wasn't the number of boars he took down, but his composure. He didn't rush, didn't act recklessly. He waited for the perfect moment to deliver the perfect shot. In the same hills, Logan, another seasoned hunter, had an unforgettable encounter. He suddenly found himself facing a massive herd of wild boars, each one surprisingly large. They were clearly familiar with the terrain, scattering swiftly and forcing Logan to change tactics. He chose a high vantage point that offered a clear view of the area. From there, Logan began picking off targets. First, the solitary boars. His weapon was ready. One shot, one takedown. Some tried to escape in the chaos, but they didn't get far. Logan quickly moved in and finished the job. Now, let's follow Blake, a veteran hunter, and his trusted team to Silvadillo Valley, where the wild boar population had surged beyond control. With help from a pack of elite hunting dogs, the team located targets within minutes. They split into smaller units, executing a strategic surround. Everything went smoothly and precisely. The dogs played a crucial role, tracking, herding, and guiding the boars right into the hunter's sights. The coordination between man and dog was incredible. And do you know how Ethan managed to handle an entire herd of giant wild boars in the mountains? Armed with a scoped, long-range rifle, he quietly navigated the slopes. When the herd emerged into the stillness, Ethan waited for the lead boar to step into position. A single accurate shot dropped the massive target, triggering panic throughout the herd. As they scattered, Ethan, steady and composed, eliminated them one by one from his ideal vantage point. If you think hunting wild boars under normal conditions is tough, try doing it in snow-covered mountains, amidst biting winds and thick fog. On that journey, Ethan pressed forward with relentless determination, despite the bone-chilling cold. When the final group of boars finally appeared, he once again positioned himself perfectly, patiently aiming for maximum precision. And when he pulled the trigger, the rifle's echo rang through the mountains, each shot marking another incredible display of skill. Every hunt in today's story brings a unique thrill. Some hunters faced pitch-black darkness. Others made split-second decisions on treacherous terrain. But all shared one mission: to protect crops, livestock, and rural life from the growing threat of wild boars. This isn't just a hunt, it's a battle to restore balance, and we're proud to be part of it.
In Georgia, whenever dogs bark in the middle of the night, people immediately know it's either thieves or the wild boars have returned. But this time, I wasn't going to stand by and let them cause more destruction. These boars had grown massive, heavy like boulders, and bold enough to wander into residential areas in broad daylight. This was no longer a sport or a challenge. It was survival. If no one acted, there would be nothing left to harvest next season. So I gathered a few trusted brothers, brought along some hunting dogs and a few rifles, and as the first light of dawn broke through the trees, we silently entered the forest, ready for a hunt we knew would be brutal. Wild boars are most active from dusk until nightfall. So early in the day, I spent over an hour weaving through the deep forest, quietly watching every movement, before spotting the first group of targets. The boars moved cautiously through tall trees, careful, but not quick enough. I raised my rifle, locked onto them, and squeezed the trigger one shot at a time. Each bullet found its mark. None escaped. With a spirit as sharp as a star-forged blade, hunting wild boars isn't just about chasing, it's a game of patience and absolute focus. Every sense must be drawn taut like a bowstring, always ready for that one critical moment. Because when it arrives, a single hesitation could cost you everything.
Great.
Success doesn't come from the weapon in your hands, but from the calm, the resolve, and the endurance of a true hunter. With that mindset, we pushed deeper into the forest, determined to find our next target. After half an hour of silent waiting, the hunting dogs suddenly picked up a new scent. 2 boars were hiding beneath a dense bush. A shot rang out, but only one was hit. Still, the dogs didn't give up. They darted after it without hesitation. The wounded boar didn't make it far, and before long, it was completely surrounded. I had set up an ambush near a narrow forest trail. Suddenly, a group of pitch-black boars burst from the bushes, sprinting across our path at a shocking speed. Instinctively, we raised our rifles and fired in quick succession, but unfortunately, all shots missed, and the boars vanished into the forest. On our way out of the woods, we decided to pause at an open field, and luck was on our side. A herd of wild boars emerged from the mist without warning. I immediately raised my rifle, eyes fixed on the biggest ones leading the group. I waited for the perfect moment, then pulled the trigger. One dropped right on the spot, clean and decisive. Since the weather was holding up, we decided to extend the hunt and head into another forest. There, I found an ideal ambush location and waited in silence. Not long after, a new target appeared, a large boar. Despite its bulky frame, wild boars can dash up to 50 kilometers per hour when threatened, making them formidable and elusive targets. A single mistake, and the chance is gone. We moved on to an area with fresher signs of movement. With daylight running short, every minute counted. After half an hour of waiting, 3 dark shapes appeared in the distance, heading straight toward us. This wasn't the time for hesitation. I gripped my rifle, locked onto the nearest target, and pulled the trigger. The gunshot echoed through the woods. One boar dropped. And just like that, a long day in the forest came to a close. We were exhausted, but everyone was satisfied. Out here in the deep forest, every hunt isn't just about survival or protecting the harvest. It's a lesson in patience and courage. And so, this hunting trip comes to an end. What did you think of today's adventure? Leave your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss the next ones. Thanks for watching until the very end. We hope to see you again on our next thrilling and challenging journey. The fertile fields of Texas, once a key contributor to America's multi-billion-dollar agricultural industry, have now become a battlefield ravaged by wild creatures. Wild boars, with their untamed nature and remarkable resilience, are tearing up farmland, destroying livestock operations, and pushing countless farming families into hardship. In light of this situation, is there any solution powerful enough to stop this increasingly serious invasion? At dawn, as mist still blanketed the fields, our team arrived at the meeting point. Without delay, everyone began checking their weapons, tightening gear, and leading out the trained hunting dogs. We quickly dispersed to our assigned positions. I reached my designated hideout, gave my rifle one last check, and took up a ready stance. "15 minutes passed in absolute silence. Suddenly, the dog's barking echoed from deep within the forest, sending a surge of adrenaline through me. I listened intently, catching even the faintest rustle. Then, from behind a dense thicket, a wild boar burst out like a flash of lightning. It darted across the lush green field in a desperate attempt to escape. I seized the moment, raised my rifle, took aim, and pulled the trigger. The boar dropped in the middle of the field, an intense, fleeting moment. To the east, Mike was waiting in ambush near the forest's edge. Just then, from the tall grass, a massive boar weighing around 180 kilograms charged out. It dashed like a storm, frantic and vanishing in a heartbeat. But Mike wasn't letting it go that easily. Calmly, he lifted his rifle and fired rapidly. The animal finally collapsed over 100 meters from where he stood, an impressive shot. We moved on to a field of tall, dry grass, an area wild boars often visit after harvest. Following the tracks etched into the soil, we spread out. From afar, I spotted a dark figure, head down, foraging with full concentration. I carefully crawled forward, moving silently, not even disturbing a blade of grass.
37 yards. 37 meters. Would have been a good one for the bar.
Once I reached a good vantage point, I took a deep breath, adjusted my stance, and fired. One clean shot, another threat removed from this land. Next, we headed to a recently harvested field, a prime feeding spot for wild boars. While moving into position, Mike spotted a herd rummaging near the field's edge, completely unaware they were being watched. He crept closer and then, in a flash, fired the first shot. Chaos erupted as the herd scattered, breaking the afternoon stillness. Without hesitation, more gunshots followed. Several boars fell, though a few managed to flee to a neighboring field. Not letting them escape, we immediately tracked their fresh prints. In the dense grass, we found two boars digging busily. I aimed at the larger one, easily over 400 kilos. A quick glance was all I needed to know there was no room for hesitation.
Wait for it to turn.
I pulled the trigger. It dropped instantly. The other, startled, bolted into the forest and vanished. As the sun dipped behind the tree line, time was running out. We had to finish before nightfall. "10 minutes later, the dog's frantic barking rose again from deep within the woods. A thunderous gunshot split the air. It was Mike. A wild boar had charged into view, but that moment ended at the muzzle of his rifle. Calm and collected, might now be the greatest fear haunting every boar still roaming these lands. Today's hunt was more than just a pursuit, it was a determined effort to protect the peaceful lives of farmers here. Though the journey ahead remains long, each step forward carries hope for a land no longer haunted by wild invaders.